Welcome back, folks. And I hope you know that all you viewers are participating in a momentous event.
Huge.
Huge, is right.
Absolutely giant.
Dwayne and I are now going to do program number 250. 250 programs. Who'd have thunk it?
I'm not. They didn't think we were going to get through first one.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, and look at how good we look now.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 10 years. Next year after,
That's
so
right, yeah.
8, 9 years now.
Yeah.
And Bill and I just said we got smarter, we got better looking, we got more in touch with the world, and humbler.
And we've worked towards our gentler side.
Oh, absolutely. We are kind. We never criticize. We never have a harsh word about anybody or anything.
We're just too good to be true.
Yep, that's right. My wife would say, "Better put your feet up."
A wise woman. She's heard this stuff before, though.
Yes, she has.
It's like my kids, I ask them if they watched the show, and they said, no, I've lived the Bill Crane Report for 50 years.
Then they ask her, do you watch her? And she says, no, I hear it every morning at breakfast. She says, I try not to hear it, but it never stops.
Yep. Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
The headlines here. The peril of abandoning the Ukraine.
Good.
Okay. Let me tell you something. I got my own spin on this.
Okay.
When we abandon the Ukraine,
Yep.
watch the Russians move into Estonia, Latvia,
Absolutely.
Lithuania, and possibly Poland.
There's something I've been the last few days. There's been articles that are online, different authors, and they said Putin is keeping an eye on this so close because this is just like a big victory to him if we stop financing this thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean this is what he was hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll have some sort of a truce.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to back off the land that we occupy now, and we want some more over here.
Strategy right now is time. There's an old saying in the Mideast that you may have a watch, but we got the time.
Yep.
We'll wait you out.
Yep. And you know what? It's proving to be true because
We don't have the patience.
People, we want immediate gratification.
That's right.
All right? And we do not want to wait on this stuff.
That's exactly
So we're
right.
tired of the Ukraine, and we're getting tired of Israel.
Yep, it'll be somebody else then.
Yep. And what happens when the Chinese say, this is our opportunity?
That's right.
They have just opened the door to Taiwan for us. This administration will stand by silently.
Yep, that's the worst thing we can do right now. It's a tough time. But we don't seem to have the master plan unless we don't know. And I'm not sure if we know everything. I know we don't, but it sure to hell seems like we're just playing. Oh, please, don't hurt us. Don't do nothing.
Yeah. These rules that Biden and Blinken have put out about the war are just hamstringing us. I mean, Blinken understands that Israel has more to do to defeat Hamas. Hamas cannot remain in control of Gaza, he reiterated. Okay? But what the hell? He doesn't want us to conquer the Hamas. But they can't stay there, and they can't remain in control.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any more sense than the total lack of policy here. But how should the next phase of the war be waged? Mr. Blinken is adamant. It must be nothing like the operation in North Gaza. He said he underscored to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the imperative to the United States that the massive loss of civilian life and displacement of the scale we saw in northern Gaza is not to be repeated in the south. Well, I imagine Israelis, he said Israel must take more effective steps to protect the lives of civilians. I imagine that news went in this year and right back out the other with the Israelis.
Oh, absolutely. They are.
So what should Israel do when Hamas positions itself in these fire-free zones?
Yeah, and they've always used that philosophy of human shields.
Yep. And so, but the entire Israel society is united behind the goal of dismantling Hamas. Well, if the U.S. is terrified of Hezbollah coming in to North Gaza,
Yep.
then I tell you what, they're afraid of kitty cats and mouses too.
I don't think they're afraid of Hamas.
No, because Israel is not afraid of Hezbollah coming
No.
in. In fact, I think between us girls that the Israelis are saying to themselves, to Hezbollah, bring it on. Come on. We'll wipe you out too.
Yeah. The method of warfare there is totally different too, and it's all street fighting and backyards, and Israel would like to see a out and out battle.
Yeah, Hezbollah and Hamas are smart enough.
So they're not going to. No, they're going to.
They know what
Yeah.
they're doing, and they're making us look bad, supposedly, in the eyes of the world. I think clear-thinking people say, you know what, war's a terrible thing,
Yeah.
but that's it, okay? Israel was attacked. They have every right in the world to hammer Hamas.
Yeah, they do. But the trouble is, Hamas. What is Hamas? Who is Hamas?
That's
You know?
right.
Yeah, they're like
A shifting sea of sand.
exactly. You know.
Yeah.
Which grain of sand is the bad one? Which one's the good one?
Yep. And they finish up with the editorial by saying Israel deserves U.S. support as it topples Hamas, not a repeat of Mr. Biden's Ukraine treatment, rules, restrictions, hesitations that push a decisive victory further away. Again, I sound like a broken record. This is the Obama plan. Let's avoid these conflicts and let's us scale down operations so that they're the same strength we are and nobody will attack anybody else. I mean, talk about Pollyanna.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the Obama doctrine is it precludes any of these nations from being bad guys.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, everybody will see it our way.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all the same now. Let's stand and hold hands and sing Guba Lagat.
You know, with the Ukraine, I cannot believe there's not a strong fifth column functioning. The CIA is expert at this stuff over the years, recruiting saboteurs and stuff behind the lines. And I don't mean Ukrainians, I mean Russians, dissatisfied, and
Of course.
Russians themselves. I mean, there shouldn't be a train heading to that border that's not in danger of being blown up as it crosses over the trestle. There was a time, even in France, the French resistance put up these things, that there should be there should be so much of that stuff going on right now.
It was a big deal blowing up bridges in World
Well,
War II.
they did get that bridge there going into Crimea, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, but they haven't totally knocked it out.
Nope.
But that's the kind of stuff they got to start doing.
I think they're being held back by the Americans.
I
They're
do
saying,
too.
Don't do this.
Don't do it.
Because it's going to escalate.
Yeah.
And Iran's going to come in, and then we're going to have to go in.
But you don't want to do it with the Ukrainians or Americans or anybody else. You want to let Russians do it.
Russians, and there's always Turks
Yeah.
that are willing to pay for play for pay.
Oh yeah. If you wanted to use a mercenary, that'd be fine too.
Yeah. Well, I think I would probably go to the mercenaries. Say, here's a bucket of cash. Here's what I need you to do.
What I would have tried to do would turn to Wagner.
Yeah. Yeah.
At one point, turn them,
Yeah.
flip them over.
Maybe we did try.
We may have tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Some of
cost him his life.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That
That-
definitely cost him his life.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That march to Moscow was a bad idea. The Wall Street Journal, Peggy Noonan, who I don't care for, wrote an article
She's
about
pretty
the.
highly of you.
Well, I am the,
All right.
quite the guy. But the rape of Israeli women. This is an article I think everybody ought to read. She lays a lot of this out in graphic detail.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it.
No, but it's online too if you want to find it.
Yep. But if half of this testimony is true, she says, then what was done to the women at the music festival and in the kibbutzism wasn't a series of isolated crimes.
No,
it
it was-
happened at scale as part of a pattern with a deliberateness that strongly suggests it was systemic. The rape, torture, and mutilation of women looks as if it was part of the battle plan Hamas used. Sexual violence as a weapon. Why has the progressive left in the West been disbelieving, silent, or equivocal about what Hamas did to the women? Where is the outrage among the women?
No, well, that's the mystery.
Yeah.
But it's not a mystery among Islamic. Women don't have a status
That's
in
right.
Islam.
They're non-people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where is the view? Where is their outrage?
They are so torn that they can't say anything.
They are nothing but political
Yep.
tools.
Yeah, that view,
They're fools.
that's totally worthless.
Yeah, absolutely. The FCC demands certain criteria of programs that are put on television. They must have some redeeming value. And then you see The View. There's no redeeming value there.
Waste of oxygen.
Oh, man, alive. Well, I'll tell you.
Now we're going to hear from the View.
Yeah.
They will be calling this afternoon.
They monitor us quite closely, you know.
Yeah, I know they do. They hang on every word we say.
They'd like to hang us. Dwayne, do you have anything further
Yeah,
on the
a couple things.
Mideast that
No,
we can
maybe-
kick around here?
The Mideast it's always been the Mideast.
It has.
I mean, you got to remember, you're coming from a society that was all warlords and tribes, and even villages fought with village A, fought with B, B with C, and they actually took slaves. They still do in some of that parts of the world.
Women.
Yeah. It's a strange area. And if oil hadn't been discovered in the Mideast, we wouldn't even heard about it. It would have been just a sand pit.
That's right. They'd be eating sand. over
That's
there.
all it would have been. Yep.
But it's not. It's oil rich, and they want to enter the 21st century desperately.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And let me tell you something. We're missing the damn train, boy, if
Yeah.
we don't hop on and help Saudi Arabia and Egypt, who are willing to work with us, although duplicity is a buzzword over there. I mean, their behavior can say one thing and their talk is one thing, their behavior is another. But I believe that we should be working much closer with Saudi and much closer with Egypt, and they would swing a couple more states our way also. We made a mess out of Iraq.
Yeah, Iraq, and that's you just write that off.
Yeah, that's just a disaster.
You got Saudi Arabia today sees the light that the days of oil are going to be, like it or not. It's every year it's going to be less and less and less, and they're trying to reform their society or their economy into be not wholly dependent on petrol, which is a smart thing to do because sometimes
I agree, but Dwayne, I'm not sure I agree totally with the demand is going to be less and less and less and less. There's some very ominous signs that this Green Deal is chinks in the armor.
Oh, absolutely. It's not going to be. It's not going to change like the Green Deal people, the Green New Deal, and the EV people, the electric vehicle people, envisioned and want.
Yep.
You cannot change that kind of industry that fast.
Did you see what Ford did with the F-150 Lightning?
They're all cutting back.
Production.
Yeah.
Production. 50% going forward. Chevy has the cheap one, the Bolt.
Yeah.
That thing there, they're cutting back on.
Yeah.
They got some problems with it.
They got one shift going, and the rest of them, out of 3 shifts, they got on one, and that's part time.
And the really key one, I think, is Toyota. Now, Toyota is the one that started the hybrids.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is the hybrid is the way to go. And you know, when you stop and think about it, and you can buy a Camry, such as you have, that will get 48 miles to the gallon on the highway in the hybrid format.
And that's what Consumer Reports likes.
That's exactly right.
They do not recommend EVs, electric vehicles, right now.
That's right. The cost of the electric vehicles, also the additional weight of the battery,
dependability is
dependability and repairs.
That's right.
Change out a battery. Well, you're going to have to remortgage your house to do it.
That's right.
So there's, and not only this, there's not enough charging stations, and they seem to insist on more EVs being built, but there's no charging stations. There's no real plans to bring enough on board. And then who is going to generate the power to send to the charging stations?
That's right. Right now you're just taking one form of pollution and moving it someplace else.
That's right.
You're not changing anything.
That's right.
And there was a thing yesterday in the paper or online that the bureaucrats, it was about the move now, how many billions of dollars they're putting out to finally get moving and putting in public charging stations, like in rest stops and different places. But I never knew this. There's bureaucratic rules along interstates, what they can say on the signs. Right now, they can't even put it on the sign that there will be charging stations available at the next. You're only allowed food, fuel, lodging, and attractions. You can't put anything else on these big green signs that you see. So if they do put it, and they said it may take 2 to 3 years to get the regulations changed.
Imagine if Tommy Tuberville is on that committee.
Oh my
It'll
God.
be 2 to 3 centuries.
Yeah. But, I mean, a simple thing like putting it on the sign, I don't know, Bolt Electricity or whatever you're going to use for a logo, was going to take 2 to 3 years to get them to allow, because all these bureaucrats, all these agencies all have to run studies and sign off on everything. It's nuts.
GM also, by the way, especially with their big pickup trucks, they've cut back on that whole chatter about EVs too.
Yeah.
They're not seeing the marketplace.
People aren't buying them.
That's right. I mean, you've got like a GMC Denali, big four-wheel drive pickup truck. It's 85,000
Yeah,
bucks.
huge money.
If you electrify that, you could drive in the price of over 100, 110.
Yeah.
And then, well, the market won't stand for that. So GM has to sell those at a loss. Well, GM can't afford to do that, so the federal government has got to subsidize GM
Exactly.
to do it. So you and I pay for it.
Yeah.
Gee, that's great, isn't it?
And we're paying for a vehicle that somebody in way out of our price range is buying it. We're substituting a guy that makes millions, or many hundreds of thousands.
We're subsidizing the rich.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I mean, you know, when you look at the think tanks down in Washington, if this is the best they can come up with, they should disband the damn things and forget about it.
It is the best they can come up with.
Yeah.
These guys, and I wish I was going to mention this before, but I can't remember the guys. He's an old economist, conservative. He writes. He's got a bunch of books, either Sewell or Sewell, I think.
Sowell, Sowell.
Yeah, I think that
Thomas
might be it.
Sowell?
Yeah. I love that. He said one time that you'd be far better off taking the first 100 people in the Boston phone book and let them run the government than turn it over to the faculty of Harvard.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And he's absolutely right.
The first random 100 people in the phone book would do a better job
I'm convinced of that.
than the Harvard faculty
Yeah.
would. And it's true.
Yeah.
The faculty would argue and legislate and micromanage so bad, it would be so screwed up. You wouldn't know what's going on.
It would look like the House and the Senate down in Washington.
That's right.
Yeah. Which brings me to another point. Oh, by the way, I got a couple of magazines for you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That is Donald Trump. Want to kick him around for a few minutes?
Sure.
He has got a lead that it's hard to describe. But if he takes the first 3 primaries, the WAGs in Washington say it's all over. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, to become the nominee.
Yep.
That's true. I think that's probably
I
true.
think it's true. Yeah.
But
So-
go ahead.
I had cut a couple of articles out. I hadn't read them, but I cut them out, said, I must look at these. And the real risk, wow, I can't believe this. Normally, the Wall Street Journal, their editorial, especially the lead editorial, is a well thought out affair.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They wrote the real Trump risk for Republicans. And it's not that it's not anything he's going to do.
Yep.
It's what happens in 2028. They feel that some of the ideas he has are so radical between 24 and 28 that the country will be turned off and the Democrats will sweep in 28. So that's why they feel we need to be cautious about Trump now.
You're probably right. You know, there's
Now, it's possible they're right. But first of all, that is worrying about something that's going to happen 5 years from now.
yeah, and the world situation will change so much in that time. You can't.
It spins constantly.
Now-
Who would have thought that with Israel and Hamas were fighting a war at the same time
That's right.
Ukraine and Russia were
That's
fighting?
right.
So,
And who thought Putin would have the balls to invade a neighboring country and start taking over territory in today's world?
and who would have thought the chaos
Yeah.
that AI is causing?
Yeah, well, AI has caused chaos because nobody knows what it is. We've had AI for a long time, but it's never called AI. Now it's AI everything.
And everybody is wetting their drawers.
Yeah,
over
and
it.
it's not anything that they should really concern about.
Well, I worry about it a little bit.
It's nowhere near the scientific or the science fiction end
Yeah.
of it. You know, it's
But you know what, Dwayne? You send your kid to college, and you say, college is going to teach you how to think, how to reason.
it was supposed to do that.
Yes. Well, I'm saying
Okay.
in a perfect world. Now, I'm going to spend $100,000 to send little Leroy to Harvard. And little Leroy is going to sit down at the computer and go, I need a term paper on fishing in the North Atlantic for cod. Boop! And his term paper is written by AI.
Yeah.
Now, what the hell good is that $100,000, and I'm paying that outfit
Probably
to educate
$300,000.
that little worm? So I worry about things like that. I think about things like that. That look, we're doing a crappy job of preparing our kids for life.
Oh, there's
As
no
an
question
adult.
about it.
All right? And
We emphasized college for so long, this past 20, 30 years, that we've forgotten tradesmen. And that's what we're really hurting on right now in this country is qualified tradesmen. We have a big deficit of carpenters and plumbers and electricians and even certain parts of engineers. We don't have enough. We've got to get back to college. First of all, is not for everybody,
right.
and for so many years now, well, you have to go to college. You have to go to college, and then I find out you don't have to. I see a lot of companies, big name companies, now are pulling back the idea that you had to have a bachelor's degree to apply for this position. It didn't mean anything. It was worthless. The degree itself wasn't worthless because it's a personal education, and and it teaches you to maybe to think about different things or explore. Maybe I should read that author or read this author, or it didn't help me with certain things. I hated poetry, and I still hated poetry. I am not tempted to go and explore poets at all. But it has helped me on different things. I do like to look into physics and science, and I don't understand a lot of astrophysicists and astrophysics, but I really love to read about it and try to do it, try to understand what.
I understand exactly what you're saying. It is not unlike the Army.
Yeah,
It makes you grow up.
exactly. But it's not an end all.
No, it's not.
It's not going to put you in a position in life to say, "Oh, I'm going to have a nice home. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be successful here." It's not, and they presented themselves as that you have to go to this college, and now it's got to the point where not only go to college, you have to go to certain colleges.
Yeah. Harvard opens every financial door in the country.
Ivy League schools.
Yale.
Oh my God, it had to be Ivy League. Ivy League is no better than anybody else and worse than a lot of them. They're overpriced. The philosophies that they teach the kids are as one-sided.
Stilted. You fit the whole thing in the same box.
Yep.
All of the Ivy League schools,
But
because they all run by the same people.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at the board of directors.
But education today has changed. Oh, it's amazing.
You know, I had a very good friend. And he had two sons. One of them, sharp as a tack, has gone off into business on his own, knew what he was going to do his entire life, and is a roaring success. The other one, somewhat of a dullard.
Yeah.
So they had to find a college that would accept the dullard. They finally found a little school of 600 people in Wisconsin or Minnesota.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of it. This happened so long ago. And that's where we sent him, Bill, and and I was very friendly with this guy, very friendly. And I knew the whole story, and he told me the whole story, and he'd tell me about his family and ask for advice and all of me, of all people. But so he says, I'm not sure what he's going to be when he gets out of that school, but that's where he wanted to go. And from his letters that he writes home, I guess he's majoring in partying. So the other one goes to a good college and comes out and is in business and is making more money than the law allows. So you say to yourself, get to the end of the story, will you, Bill? The end of the story has one of those twists that if you wrote it up in a book, it just wouldn't matter. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So he graduates from the school out in Wisconsin and goes to work doing something. Well, meets a girl, marries her, and she's a lawyer. And her family is loaded.
Always said, I told my son, I said, it's just as easy to marry a rich girl as a poor girl.
Yep. But he works too.
Yep.
Yeah. He is, well, I don't know. He told me the kid was investing in a car wash. Now, maybe he's going to make a ton of money in the car wash.
You never know.
You never know.
No.
But, I mean, to talk about, send him to college, this, that, 9 other things, and he just blunders into this girl, starts dating her, and she's studying for the law. She becomes a lawyer. They get married. And all of a sudden he finds out that her family's got more money than there is in the whole world.
Yep.
So,
Well, and other stories you get like Herb Chambers.
Yeah.
Started out as a little lot boy, somewhat, I think a Chevrolet dealer, cleaning snow off cars and moving them around and washing them. And where is he today?
Yeah, owns about, what, 100 dealerships?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. So we talk about education.
Yeah.
There was a piece in the Globe. Now this is really something. Now this is about Massachusetts, not about the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, you
Less than half of Massachusetts third graders were deemed to be proficient in last spring's MCAS.
MCAS, yeah.
But it gets worse. Listen to this.
Oh, it's awful.
75% of low-income students are not proficient.
Yep.
70% of black students are not proficient. 80% of Latinos are not proficient. 85% of children with disabilities, all of that group failed the proficiency tests. Now, the state of Massachusetts does not want the federal government to tell them how to educate the children. So each town in Massachusetts can educate the children the way they do. And what they're saying is there is no continuity.
In fact, the teachers union want to get rid of MCAS.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's too hard on the kids.
That's not the reason.
No, of
the
course
reason
it's
is
not the
because
reason.
all of a sudden your quantitative analysis, just like you've got right there, say, wait a minute, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
I've
Could
got-
it be the teachers?
Oh, never.
Yeah. We have, as Pogo said, we have discovered the enemy, and it is us.
Yep, that's right. You got. I'm probably all wet with this, but I've been harping on this for a long time. We've got too damn much philosophy in teaching. Teaching is teaching. When you start turning out all these PhDs in education, they got to come up with some idea to justify their existence. And then the universities have to come up with more ideas to justify the whole damn department. Turning out PhDs in philosophy of education.
So the cornucopia is spitting out all of these
that and
doctorates.
turn around,
and
it's coming back
master's
in, and it's like a big
degrees,
wheel, all
and 3 different degrees
Yep.
and everything. So where do they go? There's no place for them to go. So what do? They create positions called administrators.
Precisely.
We have now one administrator per kid in the schools.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite that far. It's a little hyperbole there, folks.
Yeah, yesterday
but
there was
there's
an
too
article-
damn many of
Yesterday,
them.
an article in Attleboro. The head of the school, he's warning them already. Just because
Oh,
you
yeah.
build a $200 million school doesn't mean you're home free. We're going to
No.
need this now. We're going to need this now. We're going to need this. We need 2 or 3 more head administrators.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, why?
And don't
Because-
argue with us about
No.
it. Invest in your children.
Find an administrator that can do the damn job without 2 or 3 assistants.
Dwayne, now you got a decent education.
Yeah.
And so did I. I don't remember a single administrator. We had a principal and an assistant principal. That's it.
We didn't have any assistant. We just had a principal.
Yeah.
She had whiskers. She did.
The good old days, huh?
But we didn't have teachers' aides. Well, they don't call them that now. I see they're called educators, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there again, those are the ones that are graduating without a doctorate. They
Yeah.
just have
That's
a
right.
4-year degree. So we got to put them to work. So it's got to be teachers' aides.
And
Yeah.
I remember even when, now my son's 50. Yeah, 50 something, 51. When he came, he used to come home with his homework. And he said, Dad, what? He was doing math. I said, what are you doing? Well, I got to do this, and you got to do this. what are they teaching you? It's convoluted nonsense is what it was. And so it made no sense. I said, you can do it, look it, I can do this and this, and I can do that in my head. You don't have to do all that.
Yeah.
But I told him about boxing off numbers, and it's an old concept. I don't go into it. I learned that from a guy that was a roulette dealer. Because they got to have math. They got to look at all these numbers and stuff on the table,
And process
they
them
come
all.
up just like that. And I said to one time, I said, how do you do it? And he says, watch. He says, I'll show you. And it's simple, but it works. But it's not these convoluted way arounds and this means this and this means. It just was crap. It just baloney.
Do you know that there's a push in a couple of states? This is radical now. To push reading.
Well, it should be.
Can you imagine that radical idea? Let me tell you, folks, if you can't read,
You can't do anything.
you're not going to be successful.
Nope.
And reading has got to be one of the most essential things that is taught to children, and it's got to be reinforced through the whole educational system. This business about not stressing reading is why kids get left behind. And they fail to graduate, or they're pushed out graduated.
Yeah, reading. If a kid likes to read, he'll read. He'll read a lot. He'll read more than you're trying to teach him. But we don't push that fact that reading can be fun.
Yeah. Reading is reinforced by curiosity.
That's right.
And if you're curious, that means you've got an alert mind that's working, okay? And it manifests itself through your desire to see and understand more. And you get that by reading. And if you can't read, you're roadblocked.
That's right.
Prevagen.
Prevagen. Okay, go ahead.
Adds to old folks' memories. To hear these people featured on TV, the stuff really helps. I'm
going to quote you, Consumer Reports.
yeah.
Save your money.
Harvard Healthcare said the same thing.
Doesn't do a damn thing.
That's right. Harvard Healthcare says it's no good, and a lawsuit against Prevagen by the federal government some 5 years ago is waiting to be heard and or in the works as it works its way through the court system. Harvard says the required dosages cost as much as $2 a day
Oh, it's expensive.
for something that you could eat an apple and it would
exactly.
probably more benefit to you.
Yeah.
And yet, the Food and Drug Administration is taking how long to clamp down on these people?
Oh, forever.
Uh,
But you got to remember those things. Well, you look at vitamins.
yeah.
They're considered food supplements. There's no law that says they have to do what the manufacturer says they do. You know, they could say, well, this vitamin is going to grow hair. This one's going to make you big muscles, you know. But,
Grow hair?
you know, I know, I was looking at this.
Oh.
Save your money, Bill. It don't work. But there's no law that says they can't say it because it's a food supplement. There's no and it says that on the bottle, usually this will not cure or treat any
Right.
disease or anything.
Right.
It's a disclaimer on the bottom, but nobody looks at that. It was just one of them. Along with that Prevagen, there was another brand of vitamins that they
Oh,
just
I'm sure there is.
that they were going after big time, because not only they didn't even have the vitamin in it they said that they had.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely
It was
right.
it was a common name too, and I can't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
it's out there if you want to find it, folks.
Oh, it's the stuff that unplugs your sinuses.
Yeah, that was one of them too.
Yeah.
That didn't do a damn thing.
No.
No.
You know, now I lost my thought. I was figure out what I
Need
was
some
going to.
Prevagen.
Yeah, Prevagen. Yeah. Oh, my doctor. I've got I must have 20 doctors by now, it seems. But anyway, I got
Goes with
one
the
now.
age.
I got one now, and he's a nice enough guy. So he says, "Well, looking at your blood test, it new." He took over from another guy
Okay.
that left. So he says, "So I want you to do this whole blood panel for me, and come on back in 2 weeks, and we'll talk about." So anyway, he says to me, "Well, you know what, Bill? You're in good shape." He said, "There's nothing glaring here or wrong. Now, here's an area you're a tad low in. Iron, I think, was one,
Yeah,
and something else." So he said, "I think a good plan would be put you on folic acid and B12 for the next 6 months. Then do another panel of blood tests, and let's see where your levels are, okay?" So I said, "Okay." So 6 months later, I go back to him, and he says, "Well, how you feeling?" I said, "I'm feeling fine." "You feeling better?" I said, "No." I mean, I said to him, "Are you talking about, has these vitamins made any impact on my life?" "No." "You don't feel any better at all because of the vitamins?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Huh. Well, do you want to keep taking them?" I said, "Doctor, you're looking at my latest blood test. You're the doctor. Here's how it works. Doctor looks at blood test. Doctor tells Bill what to do.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not Bill tells doctor what he wants to do." Well, I don't, I'd like to see you continue to take them for another 6 months. I said, "Then that's what's going to happen." I said, to think that a 5% increase in the iron in my body is going to make a great big difference in me. Explain to me how that works. And he goes, "Well, it affects different people different ways." And I mean, I don't know, Dwayne, but all I do know is I'm still taking them. It's not hurting me.
No, as long
But
as
is
you're
it
not
helping me? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It may help some people. It may
Yeah.
not help you. It may help you and somebody, not somebody else.
I don't know.
But that's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Those kind
Sure
of
is.
food supplement and vitamins, and there's a lot of hucksters in it.
Oh,
Oh my God! Have you ever seen the one where what was it, Big Hurt Thompson, I think his name is, and Flutie? They're hyping some testosterone.
oh yeah, the testosterone builders.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I know. And you're absolutely right. They are hucksters.
Yeah.
And there's always a disclaimer
Oh yeah.
at the bottom. And there's no guarantees with this. We're not representing that it's going to cure everything and everything and blah 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 blah.
And there's two words you look for in these things. That's easy disclaimers. Results vary.
Bingo.
That is an out for everything.
Results.
If it doesn't work for you, well, results vary. It might not work for you, but it might work for somebody else.
Results are not guaranteed.
No, or yeah, the result's not guaranteed.
Dwayne, sometimes we're called upon to make decisions, and I know that people look at us and say, wonder what they think. So, the federal government is polarized in a division, and that is a potato a real vegetable?
I can imagine there's been millions of coming up with that one.
Yep. There's a big argument about it being classified as a starchy vegetable, but they could change this and toss them into a broader category of rice, other grains, and carbohydrates, as the federal government decides to update national diet guidelines. Should we take a stand on this?
Yeah, I think we probably should. We'll get some signs made and we'll put. Maybe we should run some ads.
Yeah.
Support your potato.
Maybe we could raise some money
Yeah.
for the Bill and Dwayne Fund.
Yeah. Save the potato.
Can you imagine
Yes,
that those morons in
absolutely.
Washington
Absolutely.
spend money arguing about crap like this
Sure.
when they should be
It's
addressing homelessness?
It's the bureaucratic mess, and it goes on forever, and they protect it vehemently. They go to their death protecting these things.
So, I have another problem
Okay,
here
go
for
ahead.
us to decide. Grown artificial diamonds
Yep.
have now reached the point where they are impossible to tell from real diamonds.
That's right. You mean lab grown? Okay, they're not artificial now. They're lab grown. The composition, they're pure carbon. They're
Yep.
same as a regular diamond.
Yep.
Actually, they don't want you to use real.
So, what to do?
Well-
Do you tell your betrothed the truth that this is not a real diamond, but it's a cheaper one that is probably
Lab grown.
Oh, lab grown, but I'm just trying to look at it's probably 60% cheaper, 70%
Yeah,
cheaper than
could
a
be,
genuine diamond. Or do you conceal it? No one will ever know except you and the jeweler.
The problem there is the lab grown is a better diamond. The lab grown doesn't have the defects that
That's right.
a mined diamond has. Mined diamond, if you take even a 5, if you take a eye loop, a 5 or 15 power eye loop, and you look at a diamond, chances are you're going to see a little speck of dirt
A
or a
flaw.
little something in it.
They all have it.
They all got,
Almost.
unless you get the top grade.
Flawless.
Yeah, they're so rare and they're so expensive.
They
Every time you
certainly
go up another grade, the price doubles.
Well, these fiancés and their husband-to-be, the husband-to-be is put in a difficult spot because he doesn't know whether to tell her it's real or not. And then, if she finds out somehow it's not real, then she's going to turn on him and say, "You SOB, you bought me on the cheap, you bum, you scab."
I know where you're going with it, but there's, in particularly diamonds, there's a third one that we're talking about here, and that's cubic zirconia.
Right,
They are an artificial diamond,
correct.
but they can be made to look exactly like the diamond,
Yep.
a perfect diamond also.
With a flower
Now, a
in it.
lab-created diamond is a different story. That
right.
is the same chemical composition of diamond, which is virtually all carbon, put under immense heat and immense pressure. And Superman could do, I remember when I was a kid, he'd take a piece of coal and he'd push it down like that, and poof, he'd have this great big diamond there.
Superman was great.
Oh, he could do a lot of stuff. So that was a real diamond.
Yeah.
It's chemically, it is a real diamond. It's just the process is different.
Yeah. So
Now, cubics are another story.
That's
Cubics
right.
are the one, you can buy them pretty
Imitation.
cheap.
Yeah.
And some of them, when they came out, I was working, the company that I would work for, or rep, we sold jewelry making equipment. We sold stuff to jewelers and jewelry manufacturing. We came out with a machine to tell the difference right in front of you, whether it was a cubic now,
Yeah.
because the lab created hadn't really come out yet, cubic or a diamond. And we took this, I and another guy, down to the diamond district in New York City, and went jeweler to jeweler, and they're all together. I mean, they got
Yep.
store. They're all diamonds, and upstairs it's all stores of diamonds. And we'd say, we'd show him this, and he said, "You're going to need with this to, I can tell the difference." We heard that so often, so we put a kit together. Which is the diamond, which is the cubic. They would pick one and pick the other.
Yeah.
They were both cubic.
Yeah.
But old Joe, I've been doing this for 60 years. I can sure tell the difference. No, you can't.
Yep. Well, the problem with the bride-to-be is one problem.
Yeah.
The other problem is, so the guy buys a much bigger rock. She puts it on her finger and says, "Oh, Waldo." And her friends say, "How the hell can he afford something like that?"
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, she loses friends because Mary Ellen is ostentatious with that huge, stupid thing she's wearing and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So she loses friends.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
As she falls, then she starts arguing with him. And this
Logic
is,
would say if you're happy with this stone and it looks nice, shut up.
Shut
and
up.
Enjoy it.
That's right.
But it's not. It's how much did he spend on this?
Yep. So this woman said she got the ring, but within weeks she fessed up, telling her fiance, "I think I hate this ring." He returned it and got a 1-carat natural diamond for more than double the price.
There you go.
And she's happy.
Yep. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense
No
at all.
sense whatsoever.
How many times have we talked about this diamond stuff? It makes no bloody sense.
Maybe you're going to get diamonds for Christmas, and then we'll talk.
All right. We get stuff to start off with next time. Just more things like potatoes and diamonds to
There you
talk
go.
about. All right. Well, listen, folks, this has been fun. And just for something to think about for the next 2 weeks before we do another show. For every $1 of revenue the government collects, they spend $1.29. Can you afford to do that at home? Think about it.
That's right. Well, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
That's right.
and we will see you again soon with more of this high quality stuff.
That's right.
Go.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, have a joyous, wonderful Christmas and New Year, folks.
Bye-bye.